guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and we're going to talk about the drama going down in Potomac. We're going to talk about Mia Thornton and these tweets she sent out this morning, and then also Giselle doing an interview with Today.com and the things she had to say about her fellow cast members. So let's get into it. You guys, so let's talk about Mia. So Mia decided to wake up this morning and get on Twitter and start spouting on her, like asking people questions, but very stupid questions that are Googleable. So she said this: what is exactly a home wrecker? Is there no philosophical term for a man/woman who cheats because they are unhappy? What do we call that? Also, if you are legally separated and enter into another relationship without your divorce being finalized, are you considered a cheater and the other party a homewrecker? Last controversial topic of the day. Why do we live in a world full of people who are ashamed, depressed, and insecure? Maybe because of the condemning opinions of others. Hashtag we need to do better. Ha, I am the most opinionated person I know. Let me be quiet and find something else to do. And that's where the tweets ended. And here's my thing when it comes to Mia. Mia is doing this because it has worked for her. If you don't know, this is an alleged rumor, so I don't have any credible sites of this, but I remember a lot of people saying this was the alleged tea, that allegedly Mia was not supposed to be back for season 7, and she threw out the whole, like, I might have cancer, I'm going to Johns Hopkins, as like a last-ditch effort to get the network interested in her again, in order for her to flesh out her story, or for them to be able to document her possibly having cancer and going through that. And honestly, I believe the rumor, because we're not even talking about cancer anymore. Now we're talking about her and Jacqueline, but they dropped the whole cancer, not cancer thing like maybe 5 episodes into the season, and we're now on episode 13. So I do believe that that was a storyline, in all honesty. And now you see her doing it again. She did it with the whole, like, her and G being kicked out the company and possibly being booted from their companies. Now you have her doing it again with the whole, like, them having to downsize but possibly being evicted because they had a minor setback. And now you have her doing this with asking, what is a home wrecker and what do you consider a home wrecker? And now you have people in the comments asking her, like, girl, is this about Jacqueline or is this about G? If you're not gonna put an @ name on it, don't be bringing it up. So it's like Mia does these things for attention, but it works because I'm making a video out of it and you have people actually inquiring to understand what's going on. So if she might be on the chopping block for season 7, this might actually help her in some way. It might, but I wish she would stop because I'm getting annoyed. So let's move on to Giselle's interview. All right, y'all, so let's get into this article. It is pretty lengthy, but I'm going to be jumping around. I'm only going to talk about the things that stood out to me about this article. And I'm definitely going to link it below if you would like to read it in its entirety, but I'm only going to read the parts where she's talking about Wendy, Candiace, and Mia. So the article's title is RHOP star Giselle Bryant says Candiace Dillard Bassett always wants to be a victim. It says 7 seasons in, Gizelle Bryant is still the word on the street, and the street is filled with drama. Season 7 of Real Housewives of Potomac has taken viewers on a wild ride, uniting their ever-evolving cast for another season of fights, fashion, and fun in the DMV. Bryant star alongside with her fellow Green Eye Bandit Robin Dixon, Karen Hugard, Ashley Darby, Candiace Dillard Bassett, Dr. Wendy Osefu, Mia Thornton, along with friends Sharice Jackson Jordan, a RHOP OG, and Jacqueline Blake. Today.com caught up with Bryant to hear her take on season 7 drama and what's to come. Bryant says she's no longer interested in talking to Dr. Wendy Osefu. During season 6, Bryant fell out with Osefu after Bryant brought rumors of Osefu's husband's alleged infidelity to the group. It's safe to say no love has been lost in season 7. The season 7's premiere saw Osefu trying to greet Bryant at Hugard's spring fling party, to which Bryant responded, "Yeah, don't touch it. I'm good. Bye-bye." In October of 2022, while speaking to today's.com, Osefu said Bryant literally has gone down the list of everyone's marriage and has attacked them. I do not pay any attention to the allegations because the source itself wasn't creditable. While speaking to today.com, Bryant responded to Osefu's remarks by saying, I don't find that to be true. When it came to Wendy and whatever happened in season 6, Wendy and I talked and she said she was really upset about all the stuff that was said about her on social media having to do with her husband and other things. That's what the conversation was about, Brian says. She took it and ran with it to the opposite direction. For me, it just speaks to the kind of person she is. I always want to be able to have conversations with women. She just is unable to do that. So I'm just no longer interested. That's why when she came to me in the beginning of the season, I was just like, yeah, no, goodbye. Brian continues. Brian says Dillard Bassett always wants to be a victim. Brian found herself in hot water with Dillard Bassett this season after Brian told Dillard Bassett that her husband Chris Bassett made her uncomfortable in a conversation after season 6 reunion taping. Dillard Bassett and her husband have continuously refuted Brian claims, causing a divide between the once pals. Brian says she doesn't regret anything she said to Dillard Bassett about her husband. She continues, because I know Candiace is very sensitive and she can be a bit dramatic, I was very careful to choose my words carefully with her. At that time, she and I were friends, so I wasn't going to say anything that was going to be super inflammatory and hurt her, but she took it to a whole other level of nonsense. Candiace wants to always be a victim. We're no longer friends, so I don't feel the need to hold back anything anymore. What happened happened. It was unfortunate, and no one's going to tell me how to feel in a situation like that, Brian concludes. Since this conversation, Dillard Bassett has come hard for Bryant, making comments about Bryant's physical appearance. I think that she has taken the position of, I'm going to deflect and I'm going to speak about Giselle and try to trash Giselle, as opposed to talking to your husband. Like, why would your husband even do that? Let's start there, Brian says. Of course, she wants to create a story. This could have died because it was a simple conversation, but she wants to create a story. She wanted to carry this out throughout the season. She wanted to take all of this to girls trip, which she did. It's just exhausting to me a little bit. Brian says the pair came to a good place at the end of the season for Potomac, but that changed when Dillard Bassett brought up the situation on the upcoming Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip Season 3, which Dillard Bassett and Brian filmed in July of 2020. Brian says clearly she has nothing else going on. Girl, don't you know, my bad, you guys. Girl, don't you need to sing a song? Don't you need to make a record? Do that. Brian's bestie, Dixon, has expressed her belief that Chris Bassett wasn't trying to make Brian feel uncomfortable, signaling a possible break in the alliance between Brian and Dixon. Brian tells Today.com that she is truly fine with Dixon's perspective. Robin is entitled to her opinion. I never want anyone just to side with me because we're friends. I do that for people, but that's just not necessary. I'm grown. I'm confident and secure enough that I can speak for myself enough that I don't need that, Brian continues. Then it says Brian addresses those comments about her looks, her confessional looks. I don't really care what she has to say about that. She went on a date or is dating the Jason guy from the Winter House. Don't really care about that either. Okay, here's it where she talks about Mia Thornton. She says, Brian says Thornton is in the wrong in her feud with Blake. The streets of Potomac have been filled with chatter about the relationship between Thornton and Blake, and this week's episode saw the pair go to blows in a conversation that started with the pair disagreeing over how they mother their children, and ended with Thornton telling Blake to keep your legs closed to married men. WeToday.com spoke to Dixon in November of 2022. Dixon said she felt one is really wrong and it's not going to be good for who that is. ThorntonToday.com in December. Hopefully, I'm not going to be the one that doesn't look good, but hey, maybe we're going to continue on with that record. Bryant shares her take. Obviously, Mia, that is really wrong. Mia, it's Mia that is really in the wrong. The only because she brought Jacqueline around the group. We all like Jacqueline, so for Mia to fall out with her, it was just kind of like, you brought her here. This is your friend, your girlfriend for 30 years. It was just kind of unfortunate. I at least wanted them to make it right on camera because this looks really bad. Bryant continues. From that, I understand they're still not good till this day. Bryant reflects on her 7 seasons tenured on the show. Bryant says she learned a lot on this show, including the baseball hats and sunglasses were not, whatever, I don't care about that. She talks about Karen and her dysfunctional relationship. Girl, she said her favorite part about the show was the sisterhood. And she says, Bryant says her favorite part about the show is the sisterhood. I love that we try to protect each other, but throw each other under the bus, she says. It's a dysfunctional family for sure. I do love the fact that like Karen, Ashley, and Robin and myself have been here since day one. It's a refreshing feeling for sure. I think it's the magic of Potomac. Girl, what sisterhood do y'all have? Y'all can read the rest. The rest is about her and her daughters, and I really don't care. But I'll definitely put the link below so you guys can read it for yourself. All right, y'all. So it seems like Candiace responded, but she didn't put an @ by it. But everyone assumed that this is what she was responding to because the article was posted on Twitter, like by blog sites around like 2:20, 2:15. And then Candiace popped up at 2:30, and this is what she had to say. She said, LOL, oh, how the mighty are flopping. Then the last response to this, she said, the moral of all of these stories is to remain true to yourself, no matter what may come. Revel in the beauty that is exactly who you are. And that's where it ended. All right, y'all. So I'm going to try my best not to ramble because I have filmed this like 5 or 6 times, and I keep getting to a point where I just feel like I'm just going on a tangent. So here's my thing, and I'm going to break it down to what I read about. Giselle saying she can't, she's not interested in having conversations with Wendy, I think is BS. I honestly feel like Giselle is full of it, and she just doesn't like the fact that Wendy kind of got her. Wendy got her. I think what really got Giselle is when Wendy said, what kind of woman lets a man who humiliate her and disrespected her the way like Jamal did back into her life. And I think that stung Giselle in a place that she wasn't ready for. And I feel as though that Giselle is just mad because Wendy got her and she can't get Wendy back. And I'm not the biggest Wendy fan. I think Wendy did do a 180 where you all of a sudden are up Karen's butt. You're like trying to make yourself more palatable to the viewers. But Karen was the one that basically paid you to season 5, basically ignored you. And then I do believe Karen did say Wendy didn't fit, like she wasn't the look of Potomac. I believe Karen said that. Because Karen be saying slick stuff and y'all always kiki and caca at it, but Karen be downright disrespectful at times. So I do believe she said some out of pocket stuff like that. And I just always looked at Wendy with the side eye. But Wendy wasn't wrong when she did her interview with Today when she said Giselle has come at everybody's marriage. She's done it to Ashley. She's done it to Karen. She's done it to Wendy. She kind of has done it to Robin. She did it with Monique. And she also has done it now to Candiace. And it's just kind of like she does go down the line. And I just feel as though I don't know. I just feel like if you don't want to be cool with Wendy, you don't have to be cool with someone, but don't be trying to act like it's because of her character when people can say that about you because you display worse antics than her. Then to say Candiace is always trying to be a victim, ma'am, you technically this season have made her a victim because it's clear as day that you and Ashley sat down and concocted this plot to like try to harm her marriage. And now you're mad because she's coming at you. And then to say that Candiace didn't have a storyline and she has nothing better to do, why not go sing and stuff like that? It's like, what storyline do you have other than you doing that little podcast situation meet and greet and then your children's Sweet 16? Other than that, Giselle, you have given us nothing other than this BS storyline. You have given us nothing other than this storyline that is clearly BS, because when you brought it to Karen and when you brought it to Robin, they both told you, like, girl, this ain't it. And then for you to say in this interview that I choose my words very carefully because at the time me and Candiace were friends. Y'all weren't friends. You never valued her, because if you really wanted to have this conversation, instead of trying to embarrass her and created a storyline for like maybe 2 or 3 episodes, since you keep saying this could have been a very simple conversation, then you should have taken her to the side outside of the show and set her down and really spoke to her about it. That's what a real friend would have did. But you aren't her real friend, and you never valued her, and it has been shown and proven since season 6 you never valued her. Because when you sat up on that stage and said that if Mia would have smacked you in the face or put hands on you for saying yo mama, I would have just been like, it is what it is. You never cared about Candiace. You just found the right opportunity to like stick it to her, and you did. The fact that you said that you love the fact that this show is a sisterhood, but really the sisterhood you're talking about is the sisterhood that you have between Karen, Ashley, and Robin, because you don't see Candiace, Wendy, or Mia as your sisterhood. You just see the 4 of them. And that's why I always said there needs to be a shakeup, because we can clearly tell that there is an understanding between the 4 OGs that they can disrespect each other, go to the pits of hell with one another, but then next season they can start off fresh and move forward. But nobody else has that, is afforded that opportunity. So I don't want to hear Giselle talk about a sisterhood, because it does not really exist. Just say you love the group of friends you can kick it with, and you love the fact that y'all have remained the OGs for these 7 seasons. But to say that like Candiace didn't have nothing to do, when it's like we've seen her recording a music video with Trina, we've seen her actively like graduate from graduate school, we've seen things with Candiace. What have we seen with you, Giselle? Nothing. Other than this tired storyline of like for your podcast, y'all did, that was 1 episode of y'all standing up for the meet and greet, and then your children's Sweet 16, 1 episode. We haven't seen really much of anything from you, Giselle. So that was stupid. And then no one ever told you your feelings weren't valid, Giselle. Everyone just can see through the way that you are going about this, and we know it's BS. We know you didn't feel well, you know what? I won't even say you didn't feel uncomfortable. You have the right to feel uncomfortable, but the way in which Giselle has gone about to present this information is very calculated, and it's disrespectful, and it's disgusting, and she knows what she's doing. And that is what people are calling out, and that's what people don't like. That is what people do not like. And you get what you get with Candiace at this point. You're saying you and Candiace aren't friends and there's no holding back. Like, ma'am, you couldn't even come back from the fact that Candiace said that you're living in a $900 teardown. Your feelings were scarred by that you wanted a clear-cut apology from her. Sis, girl, she being nice coming at your physical features, because everyone thinks you're pretty. The only thing she said is about them rolls on your neck, which you do have. Now, when she start going for personal baggage with you, girl, don't be mad, because you said you weren't friends. You said you were not friends. I just feel like Giselle is just full of it. She full of it. She's just full of it. And the only thing like I agreed with Giselle was her saying that Mia was wrong. Because Mia brought Jacqueline to the show, you are wrong. Like, you brung your friend to this show and basically have been humiliating her. She been helping herself to be humiliated, but you brought her to the show. Like, you are wrong. Like, it's up to you to make amends. I don't think that's ever going to happen, because Mia has an ego and so does Jacqueline, but it is what it is. But those are my thoughts, y'all. So drop down in the comments below and give me yours. And remember to be bravely authentic. Deuces.